And a quick reminder of the question this morning: should IEBC chairperson Wafula Chebukati and CEO Ezra Chiloba resign or remain in office? That's a question. I'm going to be reading some of your comments that are coming through as we carry on with the program. The hashtag is Morning Express KTN. If you'd like to tweet, it's at KTN News or at Michael G. Gitonga. The latest development at the electoral body IEBC once again brings into sharp focus the constant state of crisis that has bedeviled Kenya's last few commissions. The commissions headed by late Samuel Kivuitu and Ahmed Isaac Hassan were disbanded disgracefully, and Wafula Chebukati's team seems to be headed the same predictable way. KTN News political affairs editor Ben Kitili sought to find out just what ails the country's electoral commissions.
The Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, IEBC, has been dogged by crisis after crisis since taking office in January 2017.
The commissioners are not resigning.
And this has been the story of Kenya's electoral commissions the last 3 election cycles.
Their mandate is to deliver a free, fair and credible election. But for some reason, they allow themselves to be victim of cartels. And you know, in every electoral process, we have got cartels.
Following the disputed 2007 general election managed by the now defunct Electoral Commission of Kenya, ECK, the commission's chairman, the late Samuel Kivuitu, was vilified. And in December 2008, ECK was disbanded. Kivuitu and his team of 21 commissioners sent home.
The politicians also should keep away from the activities of the commission, as it's alleged that they have been having, like this lady who resigned and returned to America. She was a member and she said, these people have taken sides.
Built on the ashes of the discredited ECK, the Interim Independent Electoral Commission, IIEC, gave way to the IEBC in November 2011. IEBC went on to oversee the delimitation of 18 new electoral units, register voters and carry out the 2013 general election.
The people we are supposed to blame in Kenya for lack of free, fair and credible elections is the politicians. And they keep on taking Kenyans around small circles.
And following weeks of street demonstrations by the Coalition for Reforms and Democracy CORD in 2016, the Isaac Hassan-led commission was also disbanded over what was termed as questionable integrity. But why is the job of IEBC commissioner such a delicate affair? And why does Kenya change commissions every election cycle?
We haven't had a steady commission at all. And what has happened today by commissioners resigning is also going to have similar consequences as what has happened in the past.
Unfortunately, it seems the case that a majority of the commissioners, when they're given these appointments, they want to use those public positions to make some quick money.
There are many similarities in how the last 3 electoral commissions have been hounded out of office, but there seems to be more questions hanging on the current IEBC. Either way, the job of managing elections in Kenya continues to be the proverbial poisoned chalice, and many people are of the opinion that this is the beginning of the end for the Wafula Chebukati-led commission. Ben Kitili, KTN News.
And that sets the pace for us to get into the state of the nation this morning, right here on Morning Express. And joining me to have this conversation, to my extreme left, we have Honorable Farah Maalim. Good morning and thank you for joining us. We also have Honorable Kipruto Arap Kirwa. Thank you for joining us this morning. Now, the commission, of course, is one that has had issues, and like we've seen from the story there, right from the time of Kivuitu and even before. The commission seems to be one that is like a poison chalice, always headed towards a predictable direction. So let me start with you, Honorable Farah Maalim. Your thoughts on what should happen. And maybe as we do that, Kenya's electoral agencies have a history of commissioners either being hounded from office or leaving unceremoniously. In 2009, the then Samuel Kivuitu-led ECK left anniversary towers after controversial 2007 presidential election that plunged the country into bloody violence. After that, the ECK came the IEEC. And the Isaac Hassan led team would suffer the same fate. They were violently ejected from office following sustained street protests led by the opposition leader Raila Odinga. After Isaac Hassan came Wafula Chebukati, the man probably in the last days of his helm at IEBC. And what do you see as possibly the issue? Because it seems it's not just the leaders. There seems to be a lot more. Farah Maalim.
Of all the commissions we've had, this last one, the one which you have right now, is the worst when it comes to integrity, when it comes to fiduciary responsibility to the country and their own nation here. And I think when we handed out the Isaac Hassan commission, other than the leadership, other than the chairman and the secretary to the commission itself, the rest of the commissioners were people of very high integrity. The same kind of, what do you call, accolades I would give the Kivitu Commission. Kivitu himself, Mukele, who is here right now, I saw him talking on the were people of very high integrity. The problem was in one or two places where an interference by politicians, where quite a bit of changes were done on the last day of the election, on the counting of the votes. But otherwise, a number of very good men and women of integrity were there. Mm-hmm. This one, I could never say anything about any one of them.
On what basis?
Maybe Akwambe, I can say, you know. And the ones who have left right now, maybe a few of them were in such a tough position, they will not be able to voice their own positions.
Oh, okay, and on what basis would you make that conclusion that they are the worst?
Factual. We have never had a commission like this. Never had a commission like this. The ones who come from our region, the two who came from the north, were terrible merchants, terrible political merchants. And the way they conducted elections in northern Kenya is the worst. We've never seen this kind of elections. So basically, and right now there are two who have remained with Chebukati, by the way, when all the rest of them realized that,
the house is on fire.
The house is on fire. Mm-hmm. They could not live with their own conscience. These two have absolutely no conscience.
Do you think they actually are leaving because they cannot live with their conscience, or it is a negotiated exit? From the article we have on the Standard this morning, there seems to have been some meetings that took place that led to their resignation.
The three of them?
Yes, the three that resigned now.
No, I'm not privy to that. Maybe the information in the article is going to shed light on some of these things that we don't know, the happenings in there.
Okay.
But what I know is that what kind of a commission we had in the last election.
All right. Honorable Kira, your opening remarks and possibly also the question that we're asking today is whether it is time for Chebukati and Chiloba to just step aside. Actually resign, not step aside.
Okay, thank you. First of all, thank you for the opportunity. Secondly, I would want to slightly differ from my brother, Farah Maalim. I think the foundation of all evil stems from our society. We have become a society where impunity is part and parcel of our own lives. And therefore, anybody in any commission, whether it is this one, whether it's the anti-corruption, goes with the dirt that gets from society. Number two, it is also important that we realize that these commissioners got into office courtesy of certain politicians. And therefore, they were answering to the whims of the political class instead of doing the job as designated by the Constitution and various acts of parliament. And this therefore means even those who have resigned, the three of them, my suspicion is that it was stage managed for purposes of killing this commission, such that the dirt that we suspected was going to come out is going now to be covered. And because we like looking for blood very fast, we look for another commission after killing this one. My take would be, let us allow the Chebukati audit, expand it as much as possible. Number two, let us also ensure we do a forensic audit of the institution of IEBC, so that why is it that every individual that gets into IEBC gets out with a lot of blemish? Because it is systemic, And it's an issue that we must get to the bottom of it.
Okay. And Honorable Kiro, as you say, it is stemming from a society. Isn't that the problem we have, that we always seem to blame an amorphous being that cannot be held accountable? When we talk about society, really, we cannot pinpoint and say this is the problem. Isn't it time that Kenya, for once, says that this one will not let anybody who is culpable get away with it?
Yeah, that's why I'm saying let us get to the foundation of the problem. And the foundation of the problem is, apart from forensic audit, expanded audit, let also have multi-sectoral investigation into the IEBC, so that from the data that we fish out, we now say, how do we make the next IEBC better? Because we have called it IEBC, and it is not as independent as it ought to be, because there are so many political hands in the IEBC, as it is, or even a future one.
Okay. Honorable Maalim, do you see that this is possibly a time that we should just close shop for IEBC as it is currently constituted, especially in terms of the leadership, and possibly just look for another way forward?
Yes, this is a time, and I want to advocate for an approach right now, which will help us get commissioners coming from outside the country also. They don't have to be necessarily Kenyans, all of them. Remember, we had the committee of experts, and we had a few foreigners who were in the committee of experts, and they did such a fantastic job. We had an Ethiopian, I think we had a Zambian, we had a few other men of integrity coming from other countries in the world, in the Commonwealth countries. At this time, this IEBC is beyond description. It is indescribable. Let me tell you one thing. They disagree. They fight over tenders. They behave like they are activists, basically. I mean, they were just there to be manipulated. They were put in place in the first place through political interests. There's no question about that. But the one before that, other than the problem we had with the chairman and the CEO, every other commissioner who was there was such a fantastic person of integrity. We could easily engage them and easily get results. This one were activists. These ones were basically mercenaries who should have never been there in the first place. So the earlier we get rid of them, a number of them whom I had interacted with, I'm not going to give that blanket condemnation to all of them because a good number of them I've never interacted with them. But I interacted with the two who are from our own region. And our region has had the worst election. The one from the Upper Eastern and the one from Northeastern Province. And basically they were there, arrogant, behaving like the old Kanu days when only DCs could behave, even the commission those days. The Montgomery, the supervisor of elections, or the people who came after that. They had a certain decorum, they had a certain dignity. They carried themselves in such a manner that they would want to strive to do the right thing, even if certain things don't go right. But then they were on the overall, you could see people who were making an effort.
Okay,
and in the last one, the biggest mistake we made was to get rid of the Isaac Hassan Commission. In my opinion, we should have just gotten rid of the chairman and the CEO, because that is where there was an issue between themselves and also with the rest. But then look at everybody else who was there. Okay. Look at Engineer Sharawe, look at Zibo.
All right, I want us to take a break, and when we come back, I want us to now possibly look at the way forward. There's certain options that have been floated, especially by the political class. One of them being the fact that, is it possible for us to have a commission that has openly represents political parties, and possibly is there just to make sure that they safeguard their party interests, but that way holding each other accountable. Maybe that's a way that we need to consider as a country, and I'll want to hear your thoughts on that. But now we want to take a short break, and we'll be right back. The State of the Nation, where we are looking at the current state of the IEBC.